So without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you our first feature, and I'm so proud and honored to introduce you to him. Kurt Schweigman was raised in the hardscrabble of a Rapid City, South Dakota urban Indian neighborhood. He emerged on the national and international spoken word scene in the early 2000s, winning several poetry slam competitions. Kurt is a self-taught writer, widely published and supported by literature grants. He formerly performed and published under the name Lukewarm Water. Luke's most recent poetry collection is Confluences of Solitude, a Mitote Press 2023 publication. An enrolled member of the Oglala Lakota Nation, his poetry often explores the American Indian experience. In May of next year, he will be a featured poet at the Palabra and Mundo Poetry Festival in Venice, Italy. Kurt lives in Santa Rosa, California. Please give a heartwarming, warm Rivertown poet welcome to Kurt Schweigman.
The Jesus of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota was raised speaking Lakota until he was 5 years old. Until he was sent to the Catholic boarding school mission on the res, where the nuns washed his native language out of him every time he was caught speaking Lakota, and washed in English with white bar soap. When he was a young teenager, he had the same recurring dream of nuns crucifying him atop an old wooden telephone pole with No. 2 lead pencils driven through his palms and feet. Wire notebook binder stretched and wrapped around his head like a crown of thorns. Pages of big cheap notepad paper fastened around his waist like a loincloth. After he ran away from the boarding school at age 15, he never again had that dream. In that ending of his prophecy vision, he knew he was the Jesus of Pine Ridge. He contemplated this deliverance into his mid-20s with 1,000 communions of fry bread and cheap wine. He figured he needed a sturdy chariot to lead his people into the promised land of the sacred Black Hills of South Dakota. So he traded for a mighty steed of faded yellow and rust, a 1964 Chrysler Newport, for $260 and $100 in food stamps. The white guy that sold it to him was some kind of pastor nut. When the deal was done, the white guy laid his hands on the front hood and preached, "By the power invested in me, in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast demons of Lucifer out and away from this vehicle." But just the other day, I laid my hands on a roadkill dog and brought it back to life. The Jesus of Pine Ridge knew he was a false god full of dog doo-doo. Tore out of his parking lot, gravel flying like angels in a holy cloud of dust, ripping the plastic Jesus off the dashboard and throwing it into the back seat. Every car needs a name, so he called it his Jesus Chrysler. 10 years and 10 used cars later, he had survived the crazy countless dumb luck adventures. Like the time he could fly. Yes, the Jesus of Pine Ridge could fly. Well, more like fall. Off a 300-foot cliff in the Black Hills. Gusts of wind and lost footing found him at the bottom of the canyon. He woke in a hospital bed with broken ribs, shattered pelvis, shattered leg, and of course the various cuts and bruises. So you see, the Jesus of Pine Ridge can never die. Perhaps he is the chosen one to deliver all of us full-bloods to half-breeds into salvation. The Jesus of Pine Ridge. This has been the gospel according to lukewarm water. Thank you. How you doing? So, this poem title starts with a question. Are you hungry for pizza?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
I'll say it one more time. Even if you're not, try to seem enthusiastic. Are you hungry for pizza?
Yes.
My Uncle Verlin was 40 years my senior When questioned about his ethnicity, he'd respond, mostly Sioux Indian, part German, when it comes to the drink, a full-blooded Irishman. My Uncle Verlin lived to be an old man raised on a ranch on a South Dakota reservation, raised by my grandparents. He lived out his life like a true cowboy Indian, like the songs Hank Williams Sr. and Woody Guthrie lamented about, drifting, drinking, leaving a trail of about a half a dozen pissed off ex-wives and children claimed and unclaimed along the path of his life. One night, Uncle Verlin and I polished off a fifth of whiskey. Hungry, we decided on pizza. He had seen the TV commercials for Pizza Hut and wanted to eat at one for the very first time. Upon our arrival, teenage white kids were working. A white boy asked us from behind the counter what we wanted to order. The biggest pizza you have with a lot of extra cheese, Uncle Verlin said. The white boy asked what he wanted for toppings. Uncle Verlin responded, tiny little white men. The kid behind the counter looked bewildered, asking, what? Tiny, tiny little white men on my pizza. Sir, we don't have that topping. Would you like a different topping? No, I want only tiny, tiny little white men on my pizza. After that, the kid behind the counter now looked shit scared. Uncle Verlin and I lost it. We laughed and laughed all the way home, carrying our pizza with Italian sausage topping. After all, Columbus was Italian. We thought it the next best choice for a pizza topping. Thank you.
Take care.
John Wayne's bullet. Takanchala, grandfather. John Wayne in his life shot us. Wounded, we are recovering. Removing the bullets. Racism, genocide, booze, fentanyl, Big Macs, TikTok, and so on. Nursing our torn flesh, filling the holes with good medicine, the circle of life, and the 7 sacred rites. Gunpowder from their dud cartridges to cauterize our wounds. Building common sense out of their spent metal casings. Keeping their extracted iron bullets from our wounds to construct an impervious teepee lodge around our culture. Grandfather. John Wayne's followers are still shooting, with their hammer of greed cocked ready, with their chamber of oppression filled full, with their itchy ignorance finger on the trigger, with their barrel of assimilation aiming down on us. Grandfather. We won't steal John Wayne's gun away. That would make us just like him. So we are saving gunpowder from their dud cartridges to cauterize our wounds. Searching for their spent casings from the urban city back alleys to the reservation prairies. Keeping their extracted iron bullets from our wounds to build the new sacred lodge. To Conchula, we will soon have saved enough from American society's nothing to finally protect our grandchildren from John Wayne's bullet. Beadwork. I dreamt of my grandmother the way that she sat in her easy chair, looking very old, yet hair dark, parted in the middle with 2 braids, arms resting on her apron lap over a long, dark floral dress. As she sat in her chair, rocking gently in silence, twiddling her thumbs with her other fingers intertwined, a representation of her beadwork, gifted for creating culture of Lakota traditional patterns. As my dream ends, she kept rocking in her chair, continuing to twiddle her thumbs, silent with no expression, staring at her beadless loom, seemingly deep in thought on the intent of the next design. Her beadwork sought after for its detail and beauty. She even loaned pieces to my auntie for her Indian fashion shows that adorned models wearing ribbon shirts and patterned dresses. Grandmother's beadwork is currently in the Sioux Indian Museum. They are on a National Historical Registry. 4 pair of earrings and a bolo tie sit wrapped in a small cardboard box in dark storage of the museum, waiting for the day their bright bee color spirit can awaken from their own dream. Thank you. I'm honored that you're here and listening, and it's been a while since reading. I really read in public anymore. And thank you, Shauna, where you at right there, for talking me out of retirement. I have a new book, Confluences of Solitude, and it's not by Luke, it's by Kurt. So, I retired that name quite a while ago, but yeah, back in the heyday of poetry slam and spoken word, I went by Luke Warmwater. Anyway, so I'm going to share some poems from my new book, and this one's for my daughter, which I wrote for her. And, it's called Paul McCartney. Daughter was about to turn 6 years old when she insisted we invite Sir Paul to her birthday party at my place. A small but nice condo in Oakland. We mailed a letter she wrote inviting him, explaining he was her favorite Beatle, including her first grade yearbook picture, she directing what corner of the living room where he would perform solo for us, then take him fishing after birthday cake. And Papa, no blah, 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 reminding me not to hog conversation in the importance for her to visit Paul. After all, she was the birthday girl. 2 years later, when she was 8 years old, we finally got to see Paul perform live at Candlestick Park, the final event before the stadium was demolished. Her mouthing along to his singing all the Fab Four popular hits, excitedly on the edge of her seat, a fascination as strong as those teenage girls of yesteryear sitting in those same seats from the Beatles' final live concert in 1966. To this day, daughter continues her adoration. She is their biggest fan I've ever known. On January 19th, 2025, the last full day of his presidency, Joe Biden commuted Leonard Peltier's life sentence. Peltier was wrongfully convicted in 1977 for the murder of 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. He was imprisoned for nearly 50 years. Peltier is currently living in the Turtle Mountain Indian Reservation in North Dakota. This poem was written before his commutation. Hang in there, brother. Freedom is on the precipice. A kicking and screaming America has no choice but to change toward diversity. Racists and those spreading hate will always need someone to blame for their own shortcomings. They were scared of the American Indian movement all those decades ago. They're still making you burn for their own sins. What more can I do? Bring the dynamite for those cinder blocks. Bring the acetylene torch to cut those steel bars. Bring the sacred medicine to humble your captors into understanding your innocence. The same blood that runs through you runs through me, our ancestors common from a great tribe. Here I am still believing the president will do right, pardon you to freedom with your remaining time, to experience liberty, sacred ceremonies, hugs from your family, all the good that you have missed. So I'm here still writing, continuing to educate so others will understand this grand injustice. As you suffer, sacrificing for us, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, Ochete, Shakowin, Oyate, the 7 Council Fires Nation, and all indigenous people. While the establishment, their bellies continue to be full with all the good cuts of meat, as we are continually thrown scraps, yet becoming stronger each day, rising up again and again, fighting injustice. Let them pick the bones out of that. Thank you. How many of you are familiar with the Onion newspaper? All right. So this one's for you. So the title of the article reads, American Bison demand removal from terrorist list. Washington, D.C. Representatives from various buffalo herds across the Great Plains converged on Capitol Hill for a rally in support of their freedom rights as American bison. Yes, I agree we have gotten bad press from rare isolated attacks on Yellowstone tourists and Sturgis bikers, but we were provoked by stupid humans, said Brutus, a buffalo from South Dakota with ancestral lineage as far back to settlement of the West. How do you justify the senseless slaughter of us in the millions more than 100 years ago, to near extinction, just to build railroads and create farmland? Yet you call us terrorists, Brutus added. That you cannot judge an orchard on a few bad apples, and that buffalo are docile creatures, but get angry when petted. He went on to highlight their positive contributions as sports team mascots and a healthy yet delicious alternative to beef. Thank you. So I'm very honored. Some of the same people I knew just over a decade ago, and I got invited to Rome to read, and so I got invited back in May to go to Venice this time for a poetry festival. And so I put this in my new book because I, obviously came out. The book came out well after when I was in Rome, and it's titled Caravaggio. And if you don't know who he is, well, for me, he's one of my favorite painters. In dark spaces of cathedrals in central Rome reside massive paintings by Caravaggio. Smaller sizes in the well-lit Galleria Borghese, relevancy from over 400 years ago, capturing the seedy underbelly of life with religious experiences of divinity, intertwined therein sins of man, God's redemption, within grit of existence in the human condition. Conversion on the way to Damascus. Saul fallen nearly trampled by his horse as he lay on ground, arms outreached to the sky, Lord asking him why he persecutes. Young sick Bacchus, jaundiced skin holding rotting grapes, decadence taking a toll even for a young man. David with the head of Goliath. The title says it all on David's sword. Inscribed in Latin, humility kills pride. Caravaggio's severed head is that of Goliath. Witnessing those paintings and others in person, I relish beyond capable describing in words. This experience more than can be comprehended viewing in a glossary art book, watching in a documentary, or even in a prayer to God. So this is also in the new book, and a lot of the poems in the new book towards the end are kind of, every year for quite a while now I've been going down to Baja Sur, not in Cabo. Cabo really got changed, so I avoid that. But other places on the East Cape, and over on the Pacific side near Todos Santos. And up to La Paz too, near Melicon. So so this, so some of the poems it was fun to write, and I'll just say, like, there's this longer piece in there. It's the very end. It's called Keith Richards and the $1 Million Baked Potato, which is loosely based on a true story. He actually lives, or used to live, in Baja Sur. Anyway, this is Lo siento, mi español es no bueno. This is titled La Paz, Octavio. La señorita, por favor, read me Octavio Paz en La Paz. Melicon mujer, guide me solo woman. La revolución, revolution. Word for word, poem by poem, book after book, if even in my own mind. Revolución, Octavio Paz, en La Paz. Freedom poem, Exotico Erotico La Paz. La mujer, the woman, ignite the heart, the heat. Wait, don't light, mezcal bottle Molotov cocktail. Let's pause, sip rather in La Paz. Read me more, Octavio Paz. You, revolutionary. Me, listening. ¿Qué? What did you say? Salud, Octavio Paz. Go in peace, La Paz. Vamos. This is the last one, a short piece. I want to thank you again for listening. During the break, I'll have my new book, spoken word CD, and this crazy adult-oriented, not for kids really, short film on DVD, a 10-minute storyboard animation I made with a couple of my friends in Portland quite a long time ago. But it did show at like three native film festivals in Michigan, South Dakota, and Washington State. Anyway, so this last poem is the most recent thing I've written. It was inspired by looking at a book I have of Pablo Neruda. This is titled For All the Lovers We Have Ever Known. Though we will never have strength on ocean horizons to hold the decades as Penelope waited for Odysseus's return. Landless seafarers quickly move on, their suitors many. In age of long ago, it is haste of hormones as sand takes in the sea from constant surf. Moon circles earth, pulling oceans here and there in rhythmic pattern of slow lovemaking. To the age when they no longer stay as seawater retracts from rocky coasts, only to leave behind moist tears on stone as the sun mourns. Further in age, same sun has dried shores of admirers, navigation of wisdom, or the same mistakes we will never know. Drawn to maritime, untethered moorings, nautical miles await, lost in our illusion of the perfect safe harbor port. If love finds us, it is because we are no longer of the sea. Thank you very much.